A couple of years ago, I was at Kilimanjaro International Airport in Arusha, waiting for my precision air flight to Nairobi. I was seated next to Honorable Dudu, a former Member of Parliament of the East Africa Legislative Assembly. He was a clean-shaven, stocky man who had once flown fighter jets for the Ugandan Air Force. I decided to ask him if he had ever met Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Tanzania's first president. Honorable Dudu paused as an intense look spread all over his face. He smiled. Although he was gazing at me, it was as if he was gazing back into the distant past, when he had met the iconic Tanzanian leader, not once, but many, many times. Mwalimu Nyerere was my teacher, the retired pilot told me calmly. I fleetingly wondered whether this was back in the 50s, before Mwalimu Nyerere became president. Surely, no president would find time to teach. It was in 1981. Each week, without fail, the president would come to our class to teach us about leadership in the African context, amongst other topics. Yes, Honorable Dudu said, as he sighed in recollection, on the few occasions that he missed class, he would make sure that he compensated by teaching double lessons. Mwalimu Nyerere had a very private and personal practice that he engaged in every day: prayer. Every day at 5 a.m. or thereabout, he would retreat to his private prayer room, and for a whole hour he would seek the strength and guidance of his beloved Heavenly Father. To him, this prayer was more than a ritual. It was an intimate conversation between a son and his father. Neither was it a religious practice. It was a pragmatic way of tapping into the strength that would take him throughout the day. In doing this, he seemed to be subscribing to the words of Bwak the Bantu poet that humility is an embrace of both utter helplessness and total strength. However, strength, if not expended wisely and strategically, accumulates into destructive power. From the time he strode onto the national stage, he always sought to remind Africa that it had a past that could enrich its future. It was this belief that informed his much-touted embrace of socialism. Unfortunately, the general misconception was that socialism was a protest against capitalism. Mwalimu Nyerere espoused the socialism that was rooted in traditional Africa, where collective responsibility was a cornerstone of the society. Because it took a village to raise a child, the adult who resulted from this child was accountable to and responsible for the community. This was more than the communal sharing of resources that was a key feature of Eastern socialism. With nearly thrice as many tribes as Kenya, Tanzania has nonetheless been able to escape from the shackles of tribalism. This was not an accidental twist of fate. Whenever he met and interacted with Tanzanians from all corners of the vast country, he saw fellow Africans, not fellow tribesmen. Using the leadership pulpit that he steered national policy and dialogue towards a place where the nation reigned supreme. Complacency was a word unknown to him. With his characteristic fervor, he urged Africa to follow Tanzania's example. African nationalism is meaningless, dangerous, anachronistic if it is not at the same time Pan-Africanism. He reminded Africans, for him, Africa needed to unite not just in boardrooms and treaties, but in offices, marketplaces, farms, cities, highways, everywhere. Mortality denied Mwalimu Nyerere a chance to further orchestrating the dance of prosperity and unity that he sought. His prayer was that a new generation of Africans would take the baton and lead Africa into a prosperity that would not sacrifice human relations on the altar of profits. We are that generation.